everyone, it is Tumi Pitswane. Welcome back to my channel. It is so good to have you here. If you're new, welcome. So this video is a really exciting video. I get to speak to a holistic wellness and career coach by the name of Wafa Oubella. She is based in Paris and she basically helps people in the banking and consulting careers that are in very high pressure environments get some skills on how to manage in these environments, how to thrive in these environments, and how to still be yourself despite the high pressure and workload and stress that comes with these type of jobs. We were able to have a really amazing conversation together, and I hope that each and every one of you that watches this gets some nuggets of information based on work-life balance, based on staying healthy, dealing with stress and anxiety. We all try and unpack these things in this session, and I really hope that you guys get to, learn off my conversations with myself and Wafa and basically what we engaged on. Without further ado, let me get to the video so that you can see everything we got to learn and everything that we can impart in our lives for the future. Hey everyone, so as I previously said in the introduction, today we are meeting with a holistic career and wellness coach, Wafa Oubella, hailing all the way from Paris, and we will be talking through some things that have to do with your wellness, with your health, and how to survive in such a fast-paced and high-pressure environment. Welcome, Wafa. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for having me today.
Great. So I'm going to get straight into it. Please tell us more about your story and what made you decide to, switch industries from being a banker yourself and now to helping, other millennials and other bankers in the same career path.
Of course, yeah. So I used to work in banking in New York, and at first it was my dream job. I was living the banker life in all of its glory. I certainly did enjoy all of the perks that lifestyle did offer and learned a lot. However, at some point, it stopped being as fun for me. I feel like I was craving a lot of human connection, more interactions, and a little bit more substance and fulfillment into my routine. And as I was slightly dipping into burnout, I started questioning my future in the field. And that's when I started investigating on what a career transition would be for me. And although I didn't know exactly what it would be at the time, coaching appeared like a great opportunity for me in a way that it helped me first heal and feel better on a day-to-day basis and figure my things out. So that's why today I decided to become a full-time coach and help bankers and consultants and financial professionals around the world. And if you ask me why them specifically, it's because I feel like a lot of people, look over those financial professionals because they think, they earn a good living and they learn a lot and they're considered to be an elite and they're often overlooked. Yeah. And I really wanted to leverage my past experience in the field to be able to help as much as I could, because I know how lonely it can get when you're in the field due to the long hours and the pressure and the hustle culture, how lonely it can really, really get. And so I wanted my clients and the people that I work with to feel as understood and seen and heard as I would have wanted to be back in the day when I was in the field myself.
That's honestly amazing to hear, and it's so amazing that you're taking what you didn't have and making a way for some of us that are still in banking, still struggling through all these emotions, burnout, stress, and just teaching us how to channel it to a better energy and a better lifestyle for ourselves. So now I just wanted to go into more emotional management with you, and I have more questions about that. Me personally, I tend to see myself as a very emotional person, and when you're working in that environment, you sort of have to be strong and show up, and it's sort of a very male dominated rigid space. So I just wanted to know for myself and for everyone who's going to be watching this, how do we handle difficult emotions in the workspace? How do you handle them differently now in this career field than when you were in banking? And, what nugget of advice would you want to give to someone who sort of is in this space and dealing with these emotions?
I love this question because, emotions in the workplace are taboo. They're regarded as this ticking time bomb that no one should address, and we should just ignore them and repress them. And I feel like it's such an important topic at the end of the day, because emotions are what bring us to life. Emotions, I'm a very emotional person, and a life without emotions is not a life for me. So I love your question. And so how to manage them? Well, you asked me how I managed them before, and let me tell you, like, back in the day when I was in the field as a banker, I was a mess. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. And I took everything I was told at face value just like it is. So every single mistake I would make a huge deal out of it, and it would spiral down into this negative cycle where I would put myself down and start doubting what I was doing, and it would affect my performance and my sleep and my mood and everything. And as you know, energy is contagious. So understanding your emotions is super important so that you can preserve your performance, but also your mood, your energy levels, and your health ultimately, right?
Yeah.
There's this like couple of steps that I love sharing when it comes to sharing the emotions. This certainly helped me to this day, and this is something I always share with my clients as well and put into practice in our sessions. The first thing to do with emotions is to accept them. It sounds so simple, but it's not easy, right? Imagine you're in this meeting and someone makes a comment about you that makes you feel really uncomfortable. And so how do you handle that in front of all the senior management members? And so repressing that emotion is going to give it so much more weight. Yeah. Because when you try to ignore that emotion, there's resistance applied to it. And that's how it like bubbles up inside of you. So embracing that emotion and accepting that you may feel a bit of shame, a bit uncomfortable, or maybe anger, or maybe sadness, or perhaps even joy, if we're talking about a positive emotion, that's great. So accepting to feel that is the first step. And then very important is to let yourself experience it. So like letting it flow. Letting it flow means simply allowing yourself to live that emotion. So if we go back to our example, after the meeting, you might still feel very upset, but you want to dive back into work immediately. And I feel like then that would be a good time for you to take 5, take a quick break outside, and allow those emotions to come out, isn't it? So in my case, I would really find it difficult for me to accept my joy. Yeah. So every time I would laugh at a joke, I would hide, my laugh, and I would try to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
Does it happen to you too?
Yeah, I've done that before.
It's insane, right? Because then my personal belief was that I wouldn't sound professional. I would sound a bit too frivolous and too laid back if I laughed and showed that I was like having fun. Also, I would also show that I had capacity for more work, which I didn't always want.
That's true.
So you hide yourself. Mm-hmm. But then it's so funny because then over time, what ended up happening is that I lost my smile over the year and the months. I lost my smile coming into the office, and I became more numb. Of course, like there were many other factors. There were exhaustion and whatnot. But getting back to our point, feeling your emotion is extremely important. So if it's laughing, just laugh it out. because it's important. It's really good for you actually to smile and feel happy and communicate that good positive energy to others around you. If it's sadness, if you want to cry, then take a break outside and then cry, or in the bathroom, let it out. Because if you let it bubble up inside of yourself, then you won't resolve that thing. You will not move, just like, you will not move forward, right?
Yeah.
So accept that emotion, let it flow through you, and then a critical thing to do in that second step of letting it flow through you is to allow yourself a dedicated amount of time to experience that emotion. So it can be 1 minute, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 1 week, it can be 1 month. But after that time is done, that's when you know that it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
Research has shown that emotions last 90 seconds in the brain. But in most cases,
We make that longer.
we sometimes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you see, so we sometimes spend so much time dwelling on a certain emotion and rehashing it in our head again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I love that trick of saying, listen, if you feel angry right now, feel angry, scream at a pillow, do something, but like for one day. And then you move on with life. This is so helpful because it really gives you space to experience that emotion.
Yeah.
Love this one. Finally, the last step in managing your emotions is to derive the lessons from that experience. So if we go back to your example of, feeling uncomfortable at a meeting, once you've allowed yourself to process that anger or sadness that you may have experienced, understand what's triggered that flood of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Understand why did it cause such a reaction for you, and what could you do next time to handle it better, and what could you do next time also to place a boundary as well that would protect you and make you feel more comfortable. And so when you apply all these steps, you start better understanding the message hiding behind your emotions, and that makes them so much more accessible. Like they stop being this unknown object that you're scared of, and they start becoming this underutilized asset that was always there, but you've always sort of overlooked.
Yeah, I hear you. That sounds like really good, like tangible, practical pieces of advice that I feel that a lot of us can implement into our work lifestyles and how we deal with certain situations. Next, I'd just like to combine two questions that are still sort of in the emotional management space. One is how we cope with stress in a healthy manner. I know with myself, when I'm really stressed at work, I get very anxious. I go to bed anxious. I wake up anxious. Sometimes that makes me wake up super early before I actually need to wake up because I'm just thinking about that transaction. So how do we deal with stress in a healthier manner? And obviously in banking, finance, consulting, it's very high pressure and fast paced, as we've said. How do you stay calm and collected working in that type of environment? So those are my questions to you.
These are big questions.
Yeah.
Those are really huge questions, yeah, sometimes we can spend sessions with clients on these topics because it can take a lot of mental space, right? But I love that you've asked, because it is, at the end of the day, one of the major roadblocks, for us working in these busy fields. So to your first question, how to handle stress in a healthier manner. For me, the key is to give yourself space for emotional hygiene. Emotional hygiene for me is huge. Because it really allows you to give yourself space to take a step back and regroup and process what it is that you're going through. So if I take your example, of worrying and stressing out over a deal that's live and that's going on at the moment at work, I assume that perhaps the things that stresses you out is the deadline, is the amount of emails, is the amount of requests, and is the worry of, will you have enough time to do everything you want to do tomorrow? And when you pay attention to what's happening in our heads, it's really a lot of thoughts that are looping and circling around the same topics of, am I enough? Am I worthy? Will I be having time? What if this happens? So if you pay attention to it, our mind just goes to these places of things that will never happen or that are not true.
Yeah.
So allowing yourself some space in your daily routine to process what it is that's going on in your head and then take action to soothe yourself in a healthy manner is, for me, one of the simplest and easiest things you can do to start. How do we do that now? Now that we've said that, the way I define personally emotional hygiene is all those actions you can take to take care of yourself, to make sure that you calm yourself and you calm your nervous system. Because when you're stressed out, it's the whole nervous system that starts going haywire and crazy, and then it triggers all those reactions in your body that cause inflammation, that cause cortisol level to rise up, and ultimately that depletes your body from energy, and it stresses your body. So concrete examples of how you can take time for emotional hygiene is allowing yourself a little bit of space to note down your thoughts. What are you worried about? And list them down so that you can differentiate the things that you can control and the things that you cannot control. So in your example, if you worry about a deal that's live, you cannot control when will the client, expect the deliverable, whether it's a pitch deck or it's a model. You cannot control that. However, you can control how engaged will you be the next day, how energized and how rested you will be, how involved will you be in the discussion. So focusing on the things you can control and not so much on the things that you cannot control really helps reduce stress, because then you accept, that you can't do everything, and you start shifting your mind towards the things that you have power over, right? Yeah. And it's more empowering. It's so defeating to think about things that you can control, like, oh my God, my schedule is so unpredictable, I can't have a life. Oh my God, the deal is going to be pushed forward 3 days. If you start thinking about that all night, you will not get any sleep, and it's very, very disempowering and defeating. So that is a huge thing. And then examples of other activities to do for emotional hygiene is just things that calm you down and bring you joy and bring you calm and bring you rest and bring you peace.
Thank you so much for answering that. I think that, there's so much information in there and so much to learn about emotional hygiene and so much to learn about taking care of yourself from the inside and not just looking like composed from the outside. Actually doing the work to feel good inside so that, no matter what obstacles may come across, you're able to handle them and handle them in a healthy way. So thanks for that. Next, I'm going to move into more energy management. So, there are some nights where I have late nights, or in my case, because I hate working really late at night, I will wake up super early in the morning. I could wake up at like 4 a.m. to get some work done. How do you recover from doing those long days, all nighters at work? And then just in general, what tips do you have to just stay energized throughout the day? Because I have had some of those days where I literally sat in front of my screen at 8, and literally when I checked the time, it was already like the end of the day. Sometimes I've even forgotten to eat, not healthy at all. But I just wanted to know what you think about sort of energy management, and when you do have to pull those extensive days or nights, how do you think that one should deal with that?
The number one thing to pay attention to is healing. When we pull out all-nighters, especially in this hustle culture, we focus on the go, 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 go mentality. So you just go and resilience and keep pushing through and suck it up and don't give up. And what we don't realize is that we really we put a lot of pressure on our mental energy. and our physical energy. And we forget the other energy parts, which are emotional and spiritual. The thing is, the way we work is that we need to fuel all those energy components of our self. If we forego, if we ignore one, then the other ones are going to compensate for the rest, but then they get depleted way quicker. And that's why it's harder to recover after. So the key word to remember here is recovery and healing.
Yeah.
So when you pull out an all-nighter, the first thing to think about is how can you recover and heal? Okay. To do that, you have multiple options, and the more you combine, the faster your recovery will be. We can start thinking about the sleep. How can you optimize your sleep, even if you end up falling asleep, at 2 a.m. after work? How can you optimize the sleep? Is it by, not using electronic devices before you go to bed? Is it by not drinking alcohol before you go to bed? And then when it comes to food, I always say that it's really important to stay away from inflammatory foods. So all the sugars, processed meats, processed foods, alcohol, of course, and really focus on hydration and eating a lot of vegetables and fruits to maximize your antioxidant and fiber intake. That does wonders for your energy levels, right?
Yeah.
I feel like sleep and nutrition and hydration are three key main factors. A question that I'm asked often is also like, I love working out as well, right? I want to do it all. So I know I have a busy week, but I also want to be fit, and also makes me happy to work out. And the thing to remember is when you're in a peak busy week, so much is already asked of you, and you're already asking so much off of your mental energy and physical energy, right? And so, yes, working out can definitely be a great technique, to unwind and take care of yourself and create space for yourself, which is great. However, a good thing to remember is that working out exhausts your body a little bit more, right? So when you start pulling out all-nighters, your sleeping patterns are already inconsistent. And so you already are pretty exhausted. So is going to the gym a great idea at that time? Only you can tell. Mm-hmm. However, is it worth having, however, is it feeling very sore, throughout the week? As you keep, waking up very early like you do, or finishing very late like some others do. So to recap, when you're pulling out all-nighters, the really important thing is to focus on the healing and resting, and then sticking to the basics. So nutrition, hydration, and optimizing your sleep. And then once you feel like you have a bit more autonomy on these, then perhaps you can expand to other things like working out and socializing and, other activities. Now, when it comes to the next day after pulling an all-nighter, the number one thing I'd suggest you focus on is monotasking versus multitasking. So the day after an all-nighter, because your energy levels are not at 100%, but they're very much depleted because, of course, like you didn't sleep enough the night before, it's really key, as we said, to focus on healing and resting and really saving up the leftover energy that you have to push through that day. Yeah. And that's why I always recommend to focus on monotasking, because when you monotask, then you can just dedicate your attention on one single task, complete it, perform really well, and then move on to the next. And it allows you to avoid switching between one task and another, one topic and another, and be scattered all around their place. Because when the brain needs to switch between task A and task B, it burns a lot of energy and it really depletes it. And it takes, I think research has shown that it takes around like 20 minutes or something to refocus on the task at hand.
Thanks for that tip actually on monotasking and only focusing on one thing. I think you're right, because trying to juggle all these things at once when you're already like running on limited capacity of energy, it's really hard. So thanks for that piece of advice. And next I will move on to something that is seen as a myth, but we're going to try and get as close to it as we can get to that, and that is basically work-life balance. So how do we infuse more balance into our already busy schedules to feel like we actually have lives amidst all of the craziness happening around us for work? What would you suggest, and do you have any tips that you'd like to share with us?
Mm-hmm. I would suggest really take into account the reality of your current routine and then work around it. So in order to infuse work-life balance, break down all the things that you would like to do for more work-life balance. So, perhaps you want to start learning salsa. How can you possibly incorporate that into your daily routine, in your weekly routine, in your work week routine even? How can you do that? Is there a way? Is there an achievable way that you can do that? Perhaps it's easy for you to book a salsa class right in front of your building because there's a dance class there. Perhaps it's not possible at all to take breaks during the week, to hit the gym or to dance. So then it would be more tangible to look at it in the weekend. And maybe you always work during weekends. So then maybe the question would be, okay, so that salsa class needs to happen in the form of me dancing in my bedroom, watching a YouTube video, that teaches me how to dance. And if that's, still an item, perhaps the question is how important it is for you to do that at the moment, and how of a priority it is for you at the moment to learn how to dance salsa. Is this something that you can, put a pin on at the moment and maybe come back to in a few months when things calm down, or when you have switched careers? So I guess if I sum it all up, the key to work-life balance should be really realistic about what your current work-life routine looks like, and then ask yourself, what is it that you crave the most to do? What is it that would give more balance to your current routine? Whatever it is for you, whatever it looks like for you. It can be preparing for an MBA. That can bring more balance to you if this is super important to you. Or it can be, hanging out with more friends, or having more time for self-care, in the form of, grooming or working out and whatnot. No, we had discussed, you and I, before recording this video, and I absolutely adored how you said that you were looking forward to filming your YouTube videos, and that is also the key of having a feeling fulfilled in your career, is to do something that you're looking forward to and that brings you joy. And if it's not your current corporate job, it's okay. It's definitely okay. However, I feel like instead of waiting to find the perfect career and transition, because sometimes that can take a while, sometimes not, but how can you start feeling more fulfilled today? What's the smallest step you can take to start feeling fulfilled today? And that is what will bring a better balance into your work week and your work life in general. So I love that for you, Tumi, YouTube videos creating, is the thing that really brings you life. And I'm sure that this is the thing that, you've told me in the past, right? That this is the thing that helps you like kind of keep a balance between your role as a banker and also as a YouTube creator. And I love it.
I think it's true. I think we need to let go of the guilt of doing things that we want to do, but also learn how to incorporate the things we want to do into our schedules. And yeah, I think I'll start looking and thinking of things that way, and hopefully that will help me as well, because I definitely don't have enough time socializing, because I'm already thinking that I don't have enough time, but could squeeze in time. Definitely. So Wafa, it's been a great time speaking to you. It's been great learning from you and, all the skills and knowledge you've imparted on us, things that we can sort of take and practice. It's amazing. I can't wait to try some of these things myself and get back to you and how they went. Lastly, I just want to know, and for everyone out there, how does your coaching help finance and consulting professionals? And how different is your coaching from therapy, let's say?
Coaching is really here to provide you with the support and a safe space and the accountability to look at these questions and look at these pain points and roadblocks, that have been self-sabotaging you and getting in the way of your goal, and to move past them and find your own solutions. And the way it's different from therapy is because it's action oriented and present to future oriented. So we're looking at what's happening right now and what can be improved in the future in a very applicable, tangible, and actionable manner. And the difference with therapy is in therapy, we mostly look at the past and we start deep diving into what happened in the past and really like diving and questioning the past and to see how it's impacted the present.
Thanks for explaining that, Wafa. I think it's really great to hear what coaching is about and the fact that you know what we've been through. So you've literally been in our shoes and are able to help us going forward. I think that that's such a niche thing, but also just such a gift for young finance professionals, consulting professionals that need a little guidance and direction into, a way that better suits their needs and their health and their overall well-being. Lastly, I just want to know where we can find you, where we can follow you. If someone who's watching this feels like they would love to coach with you, how can they reach out to you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I post there every day, and also on my website, which I assume you'll be posting down below. And I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel. So if you think it's a good idea, say it in the comments or
let us know in the comments if you think that it's a good idea. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys who are watching this will think it is. So yeah.
On my website as well, for all of you who are young graduates or currently working professionals wondering what is next for you in your career. Should you quit your current job or should you even get into banking or consulting? There is a career transition made simple, free guide that will answer all of your questions, because in it, I have packed all the top questions that professionals always ask me. And I've recorded deep dive videos and tutorials that really help you walk through step by step what it is that you can do to simplify your career transition without feeling overwhelmed and lost. So we'll be putting the link down below, but you can find it on my website.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who have watched this also feel like they've learned a lot. It was really great catching up with you, and I can't wait till we could possibly do this again. Maybe next time it'll be on your YouTube channel, but it was really great speaking to you, and thank you for everything, Wafa.
Thank you so much, Tumi, for having me.